Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and it is All Girls Day. Hello, Aprylete Russell. How are you?
I am good on this Thursday. Happy to be alive. How are you?
I'm very happy too. We've had a one good report today that a lot of people woke up to, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact. And the celebration continues of the return of Brittany Griner, the
Yep.
WNBA superstar. 294, 95 days she spent imprisoned in Russia. The last 30 days at a penal colony for having vape cartridges and about an ounce of cannabis oil in her luggage back in February, just before the war began, before the attack of Russia into Ukraine. The timing was very curious with all of
Yeah.
this, as is the timing of the release and of Brittany, as well as the prisoner exchange. Um,
Absolutely.
what do you think about it?
Well, number one, I am ecstatic that she's home. I mean, at the end of the day, like she shouldn't have been detained, in my opinion. So excited that she's home, and I don't know if this is ignorant for me to say. I'm just like, I hope that she is
Mm,
able to get back in the gym, get back in the court, and do the things that she loves to do. Like, I don't know exactly what conditions she
right.
was being held under, but I would assume she wasn't able to, work her muscles out and things like that. I mean, that's probably the least of her worries. She
And
just wants
and
to be
the
with
yeah,
family,
I
but
think you're right because it seems like the conditions that they were keeping her in, there was a lot of talk about she was held in a cage, and the cage wasn't even as tall as she is. She's like
mm,
7 feet tall almost. So she was always in scrunch conditions and not given the exercise
yeah.
and the freedom to move her body and everything. And my concern, Aprilette, and I think as our mental health and wellness
Hmm.
contributor, is where her head is and what
Mentally.
because even when we were getting reports from her family or from the United States government, there was always concern about her being depressed.
Yeah.
And as happy as she may be, getting back into that and the expectations that people will have of her
Hmm.
when she
Hmm.
gets home, and like you said, will she be able to get back out and play basketball?
Yeah.
Will her mind allow her to? And I don't want to be a Debbie Downer, but the mind plays a terrific part in all of this.
No, absolutely.
And the fact that she has spent the better part of a year in a prison, and
Hmm.
we're not talking the kind of prisons that even that we see in this country. They are far worse conditions, and if they're
Yeah.
foreigners, and because of her background. She is a Black queer woman
Yep.
who I suspect they had been watching her for a while before they finally made this arrest,
Mm.
trying to seeing if they could catch her with something,
Hmm.
and they did, and she was made a pawn in
Yep.
all of this. The timing was crazy because it was right before the Russians attacked Ukraine. And
Hmm.
so you know that the United States government and United States citizens were already told, be careful when you go
Hmm.
over there.
Hmm.
And so there's probably a lot of residual guilt for this, and there are a lot of angry people. There are a lot of angry people saying that she got off, and what about those that are still there?
Wow.
There's a man who is a former Marine. He's
Hmm.
been charged with espionage. His name is Paul Whalen. He's been in prison since 2018, and he may
Okay.
be a spy. He may be, because the stories that come out are so very different about him. One is that he is a spy and that he was caught with tens of thousands of dollars on him. He says he was just there for the wedding of a friend. But
Mm.
at any rate, he's been imprisoned and in a penal colony. He has been moved recently, and which is why they thought something was happening. He
Yeah.
was moved to a hospital most recently, and people thought the process was beginning for
For
him
him and now.
and not for Brittany. But as it turns out, the 2-for-1 prisoner exchange that they were trying to get Waylon and Brittany Griner for Victor Boot,
Mm-hmm.
who is known as the Merchant of Death.
Yeah, he's a bad. He's a bad
He,
man.
he's been in prison in a penitentiary in Marion, Illinois, for 12 years.
Wow.
Oh, he's been imprisoned in the United States for 12
Okay.
years.
So when they do the exchange, is he a free man when they do the exchange?
Pretty much. He's
Gotcha.
free. It's a different kind of free in Russia. He is free in that he is not in a prison system, but he is going back to work for the Russians. You can bet you. Like,
Gotcha.
he will probably go by the house and say,
Hey, but going straight to work,
going straight to
bootstrapped
work
up.
and finding weapons for the Russians because they're losing the war in Ukraine. According to all indications, he was a part of a sting operation in which a US DEA official was pretending to be a Colombian citizen or a Colombian purchaser of weapons. He was setting up a deal to sell 20,000 AK-47s, thousands of pounds of ammunition, thousands of close to 1,000, hundreds of ground-to-air missiles.
Gotcha.
And so if he, any kind of maintenance of his supply lines, if you will, and the people that he worked with, this is going to be very interesting because, like I said, they're going to put him right back to work.
Absolutely. But that raises a lot of concerns. What I've seen just kind of on social media from some people, that raises a lot of concerns for, what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
And what should we be preparing for something on our side?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. And there are a lot of people who are angry because Paul Whelan was still left there. There are people who are angry because the pawn the prisoner that they used as an exchange is a very dangerous man. And so how people respond to this, to Brittany Griner and her family, how they respond to everyone who is supporters of Brittany's, who are very happy about her release. It's going to be an interesting turn of events, and to see how
absolutely.
And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, and in terms of what happens in the war with Ukraine.
No, absolutely. And I was just going to add, and then there's a comment. So go ahead. We can read the comment.
Okay, let's see what we have here. Olivia Ferguson on Facebook said they're saying the Russians treat his case different because he was said to be a spy.
Right.
Yeah, but there was discussions before the Brittany case in which they were in talks to, and so that's part of the reason. But I don't know, when you have a weapons dealer like that. Lynn Sell on YouTube said, glad Brittany's coming back home to her family. Side note, Americans need to realize other countries don't play. When they say don't do this, they mean don't do it. You don't have rights over there. That's absolutely right. And that is the truth. When they tell you don't go because it's dangerous, believe them.
Yeah,
she was going to work. And thought because of all the years. And it's really interesting how removed people are from the news. It saddens me as someone in this business, but probably about an hour ago in one of the text chains, one of my friends said, Brittany Griner is free. We're like, yeah, that's great, right? And she's like, yeah, what's going on? And she was working, and so she was out of the loop. There have been responses to this. Micah Parsons, who plays for the Dallas Cowboys, he tweeted out and said, you're going to leave a Marine over there, in referencing Paul Whelan, or Whelan, however you choose to pronounce his name. And it's all well and good that Brittany's coming home, but he is expressing what a lot of people are expressing, but you're going to leave a former Marine. There are a lot of veterans out there who are very angry.
Very upset.
Linsell said on YouTube, Brittany, glad Brittany's coming back home to her family. Oh, that's what we had. Okay, we had that. And you don't have the rights over there. And you're absolutely right. Iran, Russia, and even when you think about Iran and what they're going through in China with the citizens there and having protests on the streets and things like that.
Yeah.
Dora Levette Tiggs on Facebook said the Marines family said that they understood. His brother said the administration did all they could for now. His brother was a little saltier, and Paul Whelan was on CNN earlier today and talking about it. But if he had access, he's in Russian prison, and he had access to talk to CNN. I'm not saying that things aren't bad, but I just think it's very interesting that he was able to take a call and communicate with a major broadcasting network. But Aprylete, we'll come back to that. As a matter of fact, I want people to keep sending their thoughts about this and your take on this really good news for Brittany Griner and her family.
And we just have to continue to watch, because like you made a good note on how people are going to act and respond to her and her family moving forward.
Yeah,
that's going to be a total different story. And when you think about her mental well-being and how she needs to be protected in this moment from all of the trolls and the angry mobs, and we just don't know what's going to happen.
I hope that they put her in something like a witness protection program, quite honestly. I really hope that they do, because the media is crazy, and to get those first pictures of her and her wife and all that. And she's got all of that. She's got the LGBTQ thing, and you know how people feel about that. She's got a big, tall, queer Black woman playing basketball and doing something that people don't necessarily agree with, but garnering all this attention, and the diplomatic corps and all of those that were involved in making this happen and leaving this white man in prison.
Yeah. Whew, it's gonna get sticky.
Yeah, yes, it is. Aprylete, let's talk about your story. And you talked about the fact that Texas has kicked off a construction of a new psychiatric hospital in Dallas. What does that mean for us?
Yes, no, this is good and exciting news. Definitely, because at the end of the day, mental health facilities and mental care hospitals are so important, especially now after the pandemic and things like that, when people need a place to go to feel safe. And to get treatment. So I feel like this is a win for Texas. So the construction started earlier this week, I believe on Monday. The hospital is going to be called the Texas Behavioral Health Center, and it is in partnership with the Texas Health and Human Services, along with UT Southwestern Medical Center, which has a lot of physicians and psychiatrists on staff, very smart people. So they're building this facility. It'll be done in 2025. And this facility right here is going to hold 200 beds for adults. It's also going to be holding 96 beds in a pediatric wing that is being funded by the Children's Health. So that's really good. They'll have a children's wing for the youth. They'll hold 200 beds for the adults. And the funds are approved by the governor, $200 million. So there's lots of cash flow going into this facility. And another interesting piece is that Texas actually ranked last when it came to mental care access in a recent study. And we talked about this a previous that Wisconsin, I believe, ranked number one. So Texas is last. And so with this access right here, with this new facility, I think maybe this could kind of ramp up, the rankings when it comes to healthcare access. So this is good news.
Let's hope so. Having heard a lot about the facilities that are available in this state, they got no place to go but up, obviously, ranked last, and that they do right by people who are in those facilities. And that means taking care of them and hiring the right staff and personnel to help these people get better and to get them back on the right track. Have you seen any plans for this? 200 beds doesn't sound like a lot.
It doesn't, but coming from facilities that beds are being taken away, it's like 200 is a win, because in most facilities, there are situations where funding is not there. So they're down to maybe 37 beds on a wing,
Wow.
and that is nothing. So
Right.
for it to, start off with 200 beds, I feel like that is definitely a win. And when you think about like mental health facilities and things like that, like you want to just make sure that there is treatment available and prevention. There's something
Right.
more than just the hospital wing. So I'm
Right.
very eager to see what that next step looks like inside, and what are the protocols, and what is going to be the steps outside of just housing people who need a safe place. But what is the treatment plans are going to look like? What is the prevention plans going to look like? Is it going to be step-by-step programming and things like that? Is it state of the art? Is there technology? Like, what does this 2 million really look like?
Right. Right. And Greg Abbott really needs to step up and do better by this
Yeah.
state. I can't say that he's done a very good job, and certainly if this year is any indication, it's good to know that he's doing something. But after the way that people have been treated in this state, and I do mean the children of Uvalde, Texas, especially, that's you got no place to go but up there,
Yep.
sir.
Yep.
Aprylete, you left us with a scripture.
Yes, I did. And this was just
Philippians.
this scripture, I believe. Hold on. There's so many scriptures in my head. So I always have
Uh-huh.
to go back and like, which scripture did I put? So this one, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. That's Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. And I chose this one for this particular stories because at the end of the day, like through Christ, we have our strength. So we can do all things. There's a new facility coming, like just keep the hope alive. And
Right.
it just, that right there, this is a staple scripture. So
Right, exactly. It is. This has been an incredible week for a lot of folks. This good news about Brittany Griner coming home, on top of the good week that Senator Raphael Warnock had in the state of Georgia, and a lot of conversation about a purple rain in Georgia, and not RAIN, REIGN, in terms of changing the political color from red to blue, and of course bringing that to a purplish tone, and what this looks like. But a lot of people are very, very excited about the future, not only in the United States Senate, which 51 to 49, 51 Democrats, 49 Republicans, doesn't sound like a large margin. Obviously, it's not. In the workaday world, two vote difference is not a lot to work with. But the Democrats are very confident that this will alleviate some of the pressure on the vice president to always be at the ready to come in and cast that tie-breaking vote. It also gives more power to the Senate majority leader, who is Chuck Schumer, and take some of the power away from McConnell, because at 50-50, they had a power sharing agreement. And as a part of that agreement was also sharing of the chairmanships of some vital committees. This will allow also the confirmation of justices, of judges to come before them without having to get a lot of agreement from the other side. And it takes a lot of power away from the two most stubborn and as my daddy would say, I can't say that. I will not call them, but they have been called this, knuckleheads, who refuse to go along with things and used their reluctance as a power tool to not necessarily go along with the Democrats and to make a stand against certain things. And that would be Joe Manchin, as well as Kirsten Sinema. And so it's going to be interesting to see how Joe Manchin maneuvers, because if I'm not mistaken, he's up for re-election in 2024. And it's going to be interesting to see how the Democrats work with him and even endorse him in 2024, whether that happens or whether they will, if they can do it for Herschel Walker, they can do it for somebody in West Virginia, move somebody to West Virginia and work the system and become a Democrat to run against Joe Manchin, which and then he could just say, forget it, I'm a Republican. And okay.
So
That's
all
the
in
way you
all,
want
I
to do
feel
it.
like this is a win-win all the way across the board.
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And especially for Senator Warnock, because this gives him a huge boost to
Yeah.
his political career. Not only does he have the security of 6 years
Oh,
in
it's a
this,
6-year term.
yeah,
So,
it's
oh,
six
that's
for the
beautiful.
senators, right?
Okay.
And so he was elected in 2021 to fill a short term period for a senator that left and subsequently died. But he left his position. So they had this election for people to run to fill
Mm-hmm.
in the position. So that was the period of time for this last year or two that he served as senator from the state of Georgia. John Ossoff, who became the first Jewish American from Georgia to serve in the United States Senate, ran against in an open seat, but that was for the full 6 years. And so now it is Senator Warnock's turn
Yeah.
to have that full 6 years. So and people are looking at him and saying the kind of campaign that he ran, it was compared to a young fellow named Barack Obama in Illinois. They're looking at the possibility of if Joe Biden does not win in
Mm.
2000, if he does not run in 2024,
Then
and
maybe.
if he does not, because nobody in the Democratic Party wants to run against Joe Biden, and now his numbers are really pretty good. But setting him up for a possible political run for the White House in 2028, and that would be going against Vice President Kamala Harris and other high-ranking Democrats. So it's going to be interesting to watch,
For
and
sure.
kind of fun to play that politic game.
Interesting. That's your wheelhouse. You love that
I
that
do.
politic game.
I absolutely do. I'm guilty as charged. All right. So here's our question of the day. And this has to do with Brittany Griner. We would like to know your thoughts about this, about her being released today, and just whatever it is regarding this. Your thoughts on, are you happy? Are you sad? Are you kind of scared that she's going to be released? And secondly, as suggested by our executive producers, we're getting close to the holidays. Who else would you like to see come home for the holidays? I would like to see lower prices come home for the holidays. I would like to see inflation to take a vacation and for us to have some more reasonable prices. I can't believe that and I went to the store the other day because I needed some things. And one of the things I needed on my list was coffee mate creamer. It's just the powdered creamer. Normally at Walmart, I can get it for like $2.50, no more than $3.
How much was it?
It was $5 and some change.
Baby, butter is $6 plus.
And eggs.
Yeah, a carton of eggs. Like, don't get
Yes.
the organic kind, because at this point they're like well over $9.79. Like, oh goodness gracious,
Yeah.
no.
Yep. It's
Ridiculous.
eggs here are like between $5 and $6 a dozen.
I'm telling you, and the organics is like $9.
And $9. Yeah, they'll double it.
Yeah, so I have to start shopping, and there's nothing wrong with Aldi's. I love my Aldi's, but that's where I need to like really just shop at this point. Aldi's,
and somebody told me that that's where the prices were just as high.
Goodness, at Aldi's. I'm gonna be shopping at the Dollar Tree at this point. $125 all around the board.
Right. Yeah, good luck with that, because you don't slip up and see if they'll tell you, oh, this is our $5 section.
Exactly.
You'll see. So who would you like to see come home for Christmas? Leslie R. Taylor on Facebook said, I'm glad she's released, talking about Brittany, but it's disturbing that she was used. And what will the U.S. be doing to ensure the U.S. stays protected from repercussions or clapback from Russia? Nothing guarantees us of that. And especially with the release of the Merchant of Death. And those weapons that he was selling, that he thought he was selling to a Colombian terrorist, if he can get those back and find a way to get those, who's to say that they haven't already lined up someone to to use those weapons to kill Americans.
That is so scary to think about.
Mm-hmm.
But it's something
Yeah.
that we definitely need to be prepared for
Yeah.
sure. And I
But
think, to be honest, I think that that's something that they probably already thought about before making this swap. I mean, like you said, like the timing of everything, like we don't know the intel of things.
Mm-hmm.
And in America, we're crafty. So that's all.
Right. Right. Yeah. And in America, we're very innocent, and we have to be really on our guard
Yeah.
and aware of what's going on
Yep.
around us. Yolanda, I saw Michelle. I'm glad she was released. Michelle Lynn Summerall says on Facebook, I don't excuse her crime, but the punishment did not match the crime, much like in the U.S. Yeah, I mean, people in the United States have been jailed for years, especially remember back in the day with the 3 strikes and you're out laws, and for something that was very small, normally spending very little time. But also the question is, and I'll ask you, Aprylete, who would you like to see come home for? Are you going home for Christmas?
I don't know yet. I still have not decided. I am such a last minute type of person when it comes to this. But to be honest, I'm very tired. I feel like I've been moving and traveling I'm just tired. But my mom is coming down here on the 28th. So
okay.
That's one piece of home. I'm just like everybody else, we can FaceTime.
And your sister was just here.
Yes. So they've made their way down to Dallas. So I believe that I might skip out on, I hope no one's watching that loves me back home. But I think that I'm going to skip out on Christmas this year. So I'll be here.
Well, I hope you won't skip out on the celebrations, and I hope that you get the rest that you need.
Yes, I'm getting the rest. And guess what? I'm actually going to go pick up a tree from Five and Below. And the tree is only $5.
Is it a cute tree? How big is it?
It's tiny, but that's all I need.
Is it tiny like mine right there? Can you see
No,
that?
No. It's bigger than that. I think it's 3 feet.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean,
mine's about 3 inches.
Yeah. No, mine is going to be big. It's probably going to be as big as this plant back here. And that's all I need. It's only me and Gucci at the house. Put a little lights show on there. And that is it. I'm very frugal. The tree is going to be up for a minute and down when my mom leaves. So that's it. That's all.
Nice.
$5.
That's nice. Did you guys make a big deal out of Christmas when you were growing up in terms of decorating the house and the tree and putting up the stockings and things?
So my dad's side did. My mom's side, like we did something very small and petite. But my dad's side, yeah, the whole 9 yards. Like every year we got pajamas on Christmas Eve. So we would open up our one gift, which would always be pajamas and slippers and things. Tree is always decorated. House is always decorated for sure.
I got my Black Santa pajama bottoms, my pajama pants, and also some with the Christmas trees on them. So it's just the, that's, I'm not going to do a lot because I'm really not sure where I'm going to be for Christmas. So
I mean, but you're going to be somewhere. I mean, everybody loves you, Sybil. So I'm sure.
Yeah, well,
you have invitations piled up.
Some not as much as others, but it's nice to be thought of that way. But yeah, I miss that, and it's something that my mom did do, and I was talking to somebody last night about decorating and what they'll be doing as a newlywed couple, and it is coming together of two different sides. And for me, it's just a question of, pulling I miss the fragrances of Christmas, the pine or the type of tree or whatever it is and things like that. And I don't cook. So, there's not going to be any of the gingerbread cookies and things.
What do people eat on Christmas? Like, is it still Thanksgiving type of food or
pretty much? Yeah. But some, like at my godmother's house, we used to always have gumbo.
Really?
For Christmas Eve. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That probably was good. Some gumbo on Christmas Eve. I've never had gumbo on Christmas Eve.
I could have gumbo every day. I love soups and I love gumbo, so I could eat it every day.
Gotcha.
Yolanda, do we have more people talking about who or what they'd like to have return for Christmas, or is it or Brittany talk? We're open to either one of those. So if your mom comes, she'll come towards the end. Will she be here for New Year's?
She's actually leaving on Saturday. So what is that, the 31st? She's like, well, I didn't know if you had plans. I'm like, girl, I am new in the city. I have no
Oh, that is so cute. Charlotte Bowen Bellamy, so glad to see she's coming home, but she needs to be careful of all that she does. And I'd like to see lower rates. Mortgages are going up, and we will have more people on the streets who are homeless. Oh, Charlotte, you are so right. You are so right.
I'm about a paycheck away, like literally.
And there are a lot of people out there. There are a lot of people out there who are a paycheck away. That's the real Aprylete.
Yeah.
And we've got to do something to help our people who are struggling to keep a roof over their heads, as well as, to put gas in their car so they can go to a job.
Exactly.
Or money for, a transportation pass or whatever. This is the season in which we help each other and try to help people get on with their lives. That is the real truth of it all. That's just a sad reality. Rosemary Smith on YouTube says, we do traditional glassware and tableware, cloth, tablecloth, and napkins, no paper plates or aluminum pans on the table. All right, so we can bring our stuff in the aluminum pans that we buy from the restaurants, and then we put it into a nice
China dish.
And go on from there. How about that? Okay. I like that. Michelle Lynn Summerall says, Christmas was one of my mom's favorites. Now with dementia, she doesn't know it's coming. However, is thrilled over and over again when we visit to celebrate. I hope a little recognition comes home for, oh my God. Oh, that is so powerful. I hope a little recognition comes home for her. Oh, God bless you, Michelle. I pray for that as well for you. Oh my goodness. That is so precious. Do you remember your favorite Christmas as a kid, Aprylete?
Ooh, my favorite Christmas.
Did you have one that stands out in your mind?
No, I feel they all were pretty magical, to be honest.
They were all magical?
Yeah, they all were pretty magical. And shout out to my family for just, making it very special and making us feel like kids. And at the end of the day, I know that was one holiday where I did not have to feel like I was an adult and having to grow up super fast, because I've worked since I was 15 with a worker's permit and, yada, yada, yada. So on Christmas, I will say my family definitely allowed me to be a kid. So I think all of them were great.
That is great. I remember when I was 5, I saw Santa fly in the sky. That was pretty magical for me.
See, with my family, like we never really did the Santa thing.
Mm-hmm.
We always celebrated, but it was never like the ho, 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 going to take pictures with Santa Claus and leaving out cookies for Santa Claus. No, we didn't do that.
So we left cookies and scotch for Santa, because my dad said that Santa wasn't so big on milk, but Santa did like scotch.
I heard that, and that was Daddy's drink of choice.
And the one Christmas that I saw Santa Claus coming out of a house, we were coming from my godmother's house, and we were on 87th Street near the Dan Ryan Expressway, and we were at a stoplight, and I saw Santa Claus coming out of a house, and I was like, I was panicked, and I was just like, pushing. I wanted to push my mom out of the driver's seat, and so I could push, the car to make it go faster to get home, because Santa was just a few miles away. And my mother said that was the best night for me to go to sleep, because there was nothing that was going to keep me, because I knew I had to be asleep before Santa got there. Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember one of your best gifts? Like as a child, or just?
Okay, so this is another story that has to do with my dad, because my mother had arranged with Santa Claus to bring me the whole kitchen ensemble with a stove and a refrigerator and all of the things that go along with it. Well, Santa apparently was a little overserved and only got through the stove. And so for Easter, I got the refrigerator. And for my birthday, I got another piece because Santa needed more time to send these things to me. And it was it was always with a note on Easter. I got the note, sorry for the delay, love Santa and the Easter Bunny. And so
that is so cute.
Yeah.
That's so funny that you said that, and I wanted to crack a joke, because I'm just like, you said you didn't cook, and I'm like, oh, is that because everything
right I didn't know how everything worked, and
Oh God.
Oh my goodness. I do have some great childhood memories from Christmas. Do you remember, you have one that stands out for you, like a gift that you got that you remember that you really wanted?
No, but I
Or a
do
gift that you
remember.
gave that you
I was
really
gonna say I remember a gift that I gave my mom. So we took a trip to the Bahamas, and so that was
nice.
one of her Christmas gifts. Probably, I think it was probably like 2017 or something. So I was super excited for that because my sister, I have an older sister. She's always just doing and lavish and stuff. So I was able that year to get my money together and take my mom
Okay.
to the Bahamas. So I was just like, oh, the middle
Oh,
child is showing up. So yes, that was one.
that's really sweet.
Mhm. And
That's nice.
she
It's
was
nothing
so
like that
happy.
sibling rivalry though. And
Mhm.
to get you to put a fire underneath you, huh?
Exactly.
That's right. Thanks everybody for participating. I do love Christmas and I do love a good holiday story. So thank you, Aprylete, for sharing your memories too.
You're welcome.
Let's move on to trending topics. As we mentioned, Brittany Griner was released today. Oh, I'm sorry, Karen
Okay.
Vaughn. In the last 5 weeks, we lost our mother and a sister. So I'm just hoping to be around family for Christmas. Oh, I hope you are too.
Sorry for your loss.
And I hope that family is what you make it too. It may not be the family that you were born with, but you do have a really strong family, and hope that you find some peace. And I'm so sorry for your losses. I am so very sorry. As we mentioned, Brittany Griner was released today, the Olympics champ and WNBA star, detained in Russia since February, 295 days.
Mm.
295 days since February, after authorities accused her of having hashish oil in her luggage at a Moscow airport. She was slated to remain in Russian prison for the next 9 years. This summer, when she
Ooh.
was taken to court and her case was made, they gave her 9 years out of a possible 10. And we're not playing spades here. We're not talking about a possible. We're talking the
Yeah.
extent, the length of the term could have been as much as 10 years. She
And
got
they got
9.
9. I know that
Uh,
night was hard. That was probably a rough night for her after
yeah, oh, for
hearing
sure.
that. Yeah.
For sure.
Jesus.
And the other part was, Aprylette, that struck me was when they were trying to set up phone calls with her and her family, with her wife and other members of her family. And for whatever reason, they just weren't going through the American embassy and the Russian prison. And that's just so hard. That's
Yeah.
just it's just so hard. After the U.S. agreed to the trade with the arms dealer Victor Boot, she was allowed to return home Thursday. It looked like they cut her hair, or they made her cut her braids, and I'm not sure, but she had a like a wool hat on, and
Mm.
and before they had a hat, I don't know if you saw the audio where it was really like I wrote this in the story. It really was like something out of a spy novel. You have these two people with their own people walking alongside of them, but passing each other. They don't like
Mhm.
give each other high fives or anything. It's
Nothing.
just
It's
kind of,
just
you just
yep.
go this way, you go this way. And they put her on what looked like a carrier plane, a passenger plane. And so, but just the smile on her face, and she was happy, and
Yeah.
she knows
That's
she's
that's that
going home.
release and that's that freedom,
Yeah,
that we kind of take for granted. I mean, at the end of the day, we do things that grant us our freedom. However, but it's like we take
right.
it for granted, every day just
Yeah.
because we
and
just
and
never know.
we think about us, and I'll just get up and go from here, just like the people in North Carolina, the tens of thousands of people without power from Saturday till today or
Yeah.
yesterday, depending on how quickly they got it done. There's nothing that we don't think about. It's just walking into a room, flipping on the
Yep.
lights, going to get, or turning on the water and getting hot
Hmm.
water to
Yep.
bathe, to wash our hands, and all of this, running water for toiletries and things like that.
Yep.
It's like we don't really understand how very important this is,
Yep.
and being able to play, it's something she's very good at, and in the case of Russia, paid very well, which I hope now the WNBA has gotten the message, the NBA has gotten the message that these women need to be paid commensurate
Yes.
to what the men are receiving. I'm not
Come on
saying
now.
LeBron money, but if you could keep them from going to a country like Russia,
Yeah.
which lures them with $1 million salary, who wouldn't go?
You know?
Who wouldn't go?
Wow.
And so it is going to be a lot of people are very happy. Forever President Barack Obama tweeted amongst those celebrating her return. He said, kudos to POTUS, who is President Biden, and his administration for the difficult diplomatic work involved to make it happen. We're looking forward to having Brittany back home. Not everybody is so excited, as I mentioned earlier, thrilled with the prisoner swap. Micah Parsons of the Dallas Cowboys, he's a star on the football team, upset that wrongfully imprisoned Marine Paul Whelan was not included in the deal. He later apologized after slamming President Biden, and he says that he was misinformed. He wasn't fully brought up to speed for admitting that he was speaking out of emotion and wasn't educated on the topic. His father is a military vet, and it says that he was upset after finding out that Whelan was not part of the deal to bring Brittany, or as they call her, BG, home. Wait now, they left a Marine? Hell no. And he said, I just have family who have served, and it's crazy to me the president wouldn't bring him home too. It's the furthest thing from she said, I'm the furthest thing from a Trump supporter. This is Micah Parsons saying, but I'm not a fan of Biden either. Well, that's not going to get you an invite to the White House. I just want to tell you, Micah, not that you care. You've already made yourself very clear. But we all support our military, or for the most part, we do. And he said, also, if I'm told about attempts to bring retired Marine Paul Whelan home are true, then the best outcome was accomplished. I pray Mr. Whelan comes home, but I'm extremely happy for Brittany and her family. Nice recoup there, Micah Parsons. But like I said, Regina Glover on Facebook said, no athlete should go to Russia after the Brittany Griner deal. I wonder who's going to be that first person, Regina, because somebody is going to go. Somebody is going to say, oh, it happened to her. It won't happen to me.
You know it is. And they will be playing the Game of Thrones. How about that?
Okay. And there are a lot of former NBA players, not to say that they go over there to enhance their money here, but there are a lot of NBA players who might go over and say, they'll play a little game with themselves and try to psych themselves out that something is going to happen with them, and the Russians are going to be looking for them and looking for every little thing. You may not bring it in, but they're looking for something that you buy on the streets or have an assignation with somebody in your apartment or your home or whatever.
Anything.
And
it's just not a safe time. So
no, it's not.
People have to be safe and think.
It is power is back on, as we mentioned, in North Carolina. Authorities continue to go through tips on the electric situation and the attack there at the substations. Investigators are leaving no stone unturned to find out who did this, according to the North Carolina Governor Roy Cooper. FBI and state investigators have joined the investigation. Attacks on U.S. power grid have been the subject of extremist chatter for years. The DHS, Department of Homeland Security, bulletin warns of attacks on critical infrastructure and other targets. Less than 2 weeks before Saturday's substation damage, in which 2 attacks were made at 2 different substations, the FBI said there had been an increase in reported threats to electrical infrastructure from people who espouse racially or ethnically motivated violent extreme ideology. Frightening. But I hope that they are doing something that they've learned how to avoid this in terms of securing the substations and also finding these people and getting some answers to that. We still got a few minutes. This is a great story. Arkansas, a city in Arkansas, a town, has elected the nation's youngest Black mayor. He's an 18-year-old college freshman. I don't know if you saw this, Aprylete. He's now the youngest Black mayor in the U.S. after beating out his opponent for the position in the town of Earl, Arkansas.
Well, look at him. Check him out.
Jalen Smith just graduated from high school, started college, and won a runoff election on Tuesday.
Wow.
He said that although he's confident he'd win the runoff, he was still shocked when he received news of the victory. He'll be the mayor of Earl, a town of just under 2,000 people just outside of Memphis, Tennessee.
Well, I would say that's one way to get your practice in. I mean, a town with
Okay.
under 2,000 people.
Right.
Do what you
He should
do.
be able to skip political science for a while and just, write a term paper about each year in office and get a grade.
Wow.
He received 218 votes to his opponent, who was Nemi Matthews Sr., who was twice his age and more than twice his age. He's 39. And he got 100 and something votes. And he's going to be the youngest Black mayor in this country.
Look at that.
According to the news reports, young Jalen got 218. Mr. Matthews Sr. got 139. And he decided to run for mayor at the start of his senior year with the encouragement of his fellow Student Government Association members. And he fully understands the historic significance of his win. He plans to get this. This is what I love about young people and recognizing where they are. He says he plans to focus on transportation, public safety, and bringing a major grocery store to the city.
Come on.
He said increasing the residents' access to food sources is a cause he's especially passionate about. He said they had one a long time ago, but it closed, and our seniors don't have transportation to get to and from West Memphis to get food. So sure would be better to have a grocery store right here in town.
And I really hope that comes to pass. Like I
do
really
too.
hope that for him.
And I hope that the major grocery stores, if it's a Walmart or a Costco or a Kroger or whatever, gets in touch with this young man. So we saw your story. We'd like to help you bring a grocery store to your town.
Absolutely.
Now this is not such good news. I don't know. Are you a Celine Dion fan?
You know what? I will go on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I seen this. What you're about to say? Come on.
Yeah, she revealed today on social media that she's been diagnosed with something called stiff person syndrome. It was a very touching and emotional video, and said that the condition would force her to postpone and cancel a series of upcoming concert dates. She was planning to go to Europe, I believe, next year. And so she told her fans, I've been dealing with problems with my health for a long time, and it's been really difficult for me to face these challenges and to talk about everything that I've been going through. The 54-year-old singer admitted she's still learning about the rare condition and how it impacts her life and career. So stiff person syndrome is described by medical experts as a condition that's rare and incurable neurological disease. It affects the central nervous system, especially the brain and the spinal cord. It typically develops between the ages of 30 and 60, and women are twice as likely to be diagnosed with the syndrome than men. And they say the cause of SPS, or stiff person syndrome, is unknown, but it's believed to be an autoimmune disease where the body's immune system attacks healthy cells, and the body does stiffen up, and it affects your brain ability to process and things like that. So she's just not had an easy life, and she has had a great amount of talent that she's shared with the world. She lost her husband a few years ago after a battle with cancer, leaving her to raise 3 boys. And now she will hopefully continue this with the help of her family and
doctors.
And doctors. Right? Yeah, absolutely. All right, Celine Dion, God bless you. And Ye has lost something too. Kanye West has lost friends, business deals, and billions of dollars for the hatred that he has espoused. And now he can add he lost an honorary college degree from the School of the Art Institute in Chicago, has taken away their honorary that they gave him back in 2015. According to this letter sent to Kanye from the Art Institute, they decided to rescind his degree, stating his anti-Black, anti-Semitic, and incendiary statements, particularly those directed at Black and Jewish communities, are disgusting and condemnable. The letter was written by the president and said, as a community, we know there are varying opinions on what our school's response should be, even as we all agree that his behavior is indefensible. This degree, as I mentioned, was given to him in 2015. There are pictures of him accepting, cap and gown and everything, for his accomplishments and contributions to art and culture. But his actions do not align with the School of the Art Institute's mission and values. The School of the Art Institute is pretty prestigious and is affiliated with the Art Institute. And for people that are not from Chicago, but if you've been down Michigan Avenue, you see the two lions that are out front. Yeah. That's the Art Institute.
My little sister went there for 2 years.
Did she really?
She did.
Oh, wonderful. That's a beautiful school. The students are the ones that reportedly started the online petition, and they got over 4,000 people to sign off on the petition to have them take this away.
Students started it? I mean, well, they keep their, eyes on pop culture, so I'm sure.
Right. Right. Yeah. But just the fact that, they looked back 7 years and said, hey, let's do something about that degree.
Let's snatch it away from them.
That's not who we are. And so they put together an online petition that got over 4,000 signatures. So good for them. I like to see young people working for good. And this is interesting. The long arm of the law will grab you. And the rapper Nuke Bizzle has found this out the hard way. He's been sentenced to over 6 years in prison after bragging about stealing pandemic aid in his music video.
Oh, he had some PPP money. Who was Nuke Bizzle? A rapper?
Nuke, he's from Tennessee.
Okay.
Thank you for asking. He has been, for this video that he had, featured, it's called EDD. And that's the acronym for California's Employment Development Department.
Oh.
And it's from 2020, and it features people checking the mail as another artist raps, "You gotta sell cocaine, I can just file a claim." In another verse, Nuke Bizzle is heard to say that he held up a stack of envelopes from EDD and claimed that he was getting rich by going to the bank with a stack of these. His real name is Fontrell Antonio Baines, known by his moniker Nuke Bizzle. He's been ordered to pay back $704,760 in restitution. Back to EDD, the California Employment Development Department, and was sentenced by a district judge to 77 months.
Jeez. And he probably ain't got 7 pennies to rub together.
Unfortunately, he probably doesn't have any of that to rub together now.
Well, I mean, that was just really silly. And I hate to say stuff that's stupid, but that was just really, really, really dumb of him.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't condone stealing, but it's just like, if you're going to do a crime, like, why put it in a song?
And people do it all the time on social media. If you don't have the talent to put it in a video, people will put it on, whatever their social media accounts are.
Yeah, it's just the lust. It's that lust that you want, that gratification, Yeah, goodness gracious. Well,
and sometimes you just need to be, as my mother used to say, there's an old saying from Abraham Lincoln: it's better to remain quiet and thought a fool than to speak and remove all doubt. And sometimes just talking for the hell of talking, or making a video for the hell of and trying to make more money, and just brag to people what you're doing. Just keep your mouth shut.
Just keep your mouth shut and keep your head down.
And I'm with you. And the "You Big Dummy" award goes to rapper Bizzle, says Regina Glover. Regina, you have come up with some gems today. Yes, you're absolutely right. On Facebook, yes. And "You Big Dummy," yes, as Fred Sanford would say.
Mm-hmm. He's from St. Louis. That's where I'm from.
Of course it is.
I love STL.
Okay, yeah, and you should. You absolutely should. And we're going to bring on Guy Torrey. I haven't had a conversation with Guy. I
meant to call him. Time. Oh,
yeah.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, he's a good guy. And bring another STL, and you all can tell me about the marvels of your Emo's Pizza.
Emo's Pizza, toasted ravioli, all of that gooey butter cake, all of that stuff.
Sounds like somebody's going to be asking mommy to bring some of this
Okay,
stuff
first of all, I'm
from
going to
St.
ask
Louis.
her to bring me some Chinese food because I will say St. Louis has the best Chinese food out there.
Is it
Okay.
Chinatown Chinese food? So is it like all in, or is it particular
No,
Chinese restaurants?
it's not a particular one. I mean, you have to go on the south side. Like that's just the Chinese food that I like. But no, it's just so good. It's fried dark. There's no like peas and all the extra carrots and stuff. None of that. Some bean sprouts, a little bit of green onion, fried hard with a fried egg on
Sounds like
top.
you can make it.
It just don't taste the same than when they make it in that little hut they be in. Like, and it
Yeah,
has to be like
Chica and I had Chica is big on reviews, and she wanted
mhm.
Chinese food, and I was like, "Can we just go to the Panda Express and call it a day?"
No.
And she insisted on looking up the reviews for a Chinese food restaurant in, where were we? In Orlando,
Mhm.
and it was a drive-through. The guy came out to the car to take the order, and then by the time we got to the window, we had to go through the order again because they weren't quite getting what the order was, and it was the biggest disappointment.
Oh dang! I thought
It
this was gonna
was,
be a good story.
I mean, cars were lined up, and but also they had another place, another food truck that was in the parking lot on the other side of the
Mhm.
restaurant. I was like, well, that's where all the people are, the food was really
She said the
bad.
food was
It's hard
not
to find
good.
good Chinese these days. I
It
know.
really
I
is.
know, I know. Okay, Yolanda, I get it. It's time for us to close with Yogi's
Oh.
Jewels, our daily inspiration. Taking a deep breath cleanses the central nervous system and restores the body.
Mm.
Brittany, to you and your people, I hope that you take a lot of cleansing breaths. I hope that you find your peace and you and your wife continue to love each other and to find some peace in your lives. And I'm not saying get back to normal, but find whatever your new normal is. And hopefully people will allow her to do that.
Yeah.
I really believe that she deserves that. All right, my friend, I wish you all the peace and cleansing breaths that you need. And thank you for joining us today. And best regards to you and Gucci.
Thank
And I'll see you
you.
soon.
See you soon.
Take care, everybody.